Had loop on. My apologies, everyone. But after a week off, we are back. Jets Do Show episode 18, talking about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's going to be a pretty insane episode because, it's an insane stuff going on right now in Jets Nation. Aaron Rodgers potentially going to the New York Jets is something that I didn't really think was that possible at the start of the season, or at the start of the off season. But now it's March 8th. The Jets are eating dinner with Aaron Rodgers. Anything could happen. So before we talk about all that, gotta introduce my co-host, Italy Jet. How's it going, man?
I am feeling the way that my wall is feeling. Last few times I haven't had anything on my wall because I just want something to happen. I want to get excited about something. So this is how I feel. I feel nothing. Nothing. That's why my thing is so much. I just feel nothing. So I'm hoping we can get a deal done. I'm hoping that we can try and do something. Whether it's going to be Jackson, whether it's going to be Rodgers, whether it's going to be someone else. I just want to know who my next quarterback is. It's just going to be extremely difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult how the process is going to happen, what's going to happen when it comes to who we're going to give up. So Overall, I'm doing good, but I'm just trying to figure out and learn and understand what can happen.
And as the weeks are counting down to free agency and what a potential Rodgers trade could look like, because this thing is like getting serious right now. Because after we signed Derek Carr, I'm like, oh man, I was kind of down. I was like, man, who are we gonna sign now? I wasn't overly disappointed because I wanted Derek Carr, and I said in a couple videos that I feel like the New York Jets would be safer with Derek Carr just going out and signing him because no one knows what Aaron Rodgers can do. But, I also didn't really want Derek Carr. I wanted Aaron Rodgers. This was the guy that I kind of wanted from the beginning because, Aaron Rodgers, is Aaron Rodgers. We know this dude is a 4-time MVP winning quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl before. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, and you can't say the same about Derek Carr. Sure, Rodgers is getting up there in age, but it's like, still, it's Aaron Rodgers. The dude won an MVP 2 seasons ago. He still has it in him, and I just never thought it was actual legit. But then, of course, his last game in Green Bay, he's telling Jamal Williams he wants to hold on to his jersey. He's waving the stands goodbye like it's his last game in Lambeau. And, you start to get the feeling that, okay, something's weird is going on here. And as the all season goes along, you get Aaron Rodgers dropping hints that he wants to get out of Green Bay. He goes on this darkness retreat. He returns out of the darkness. You don't really hear any words about or words from him. And the next thing you know, Derek Carr signs with the Jets. With the Saints, not the Jets. And then Aaron Rodgers speaks with the New York Jets, and the rest is history. And I'm not sure if you saw that Mike Garafolo clip or the little segment he had, but I thought it was very interesting because on the Pat McAfee show today, ESPN Greeny was like, yeah, it's going to take the star, the sun, and the moons to trade for Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers are allowing the New York Jets to speak with Rodgers. They want to move on with Jordan Love. Why would they try to hold Aaron Rodgers ransom when they could get rid of him for a 2 second-round draft picks and a second that could potentially become a first? We'll talk more about compensation later. But another thing you mentioned is that Rodgers asked to speak with the New York Jets. He wanted to speak with the New York Jets. Yeah. So that was the most interesting thing to me because it signals that Rodgers has some type of interest in playing in New York. And it's not just the New York Jets thing trying to convince him. He actually kind of wants to play with the Jets. He just needs some convincing on the Jet side of things to, of course, see if he wants to play there or not. But what is your whole thoughts about Aaron Rodgers meeting with the New York Jets?
I think it's just going to come down to how what did they all take from that? Because it's one thing just to get a meeting, right?
Right.
You're just getting a meeting. You're getting to know each other. You got to feel what you feel. Hackett was a big, strong thing that they brought in, right? Hackett was one of the keys. But hey, Johnson's got the private jet, so it took everything. It
Right.
took everything to get him there. And a nice meal. It was a day trip that came back. Um, I'm just really curious. I'm just curious to see what happened. I'm curious to see what they said. But Rodgers is one of those type of guys where he takes times with his decisions. He's one of those guys where he's not going to make a decision on a quick whim. So I think this is going to be by the end of the week. I don't think if there's going to be any news tonight. I don't think there's going to be any news on like tomorrow morning. I think it's going to be somewhere around tomorrow night going into Friday. I think this is what he's going to keep us sweating. Rodgers keeps
Right.
everybody sweating. He's going to keep us sweating. I'm losing my mind. But I think, but just like I said, I think this is a get to know you meeting. Where do you stand? Where do I stand? Is this a good fit? Not a good fit? Is this where I'm gonna retire? Am I gonna go back to Green Bay? Am I gonna go to the Jets? It was one of those things. He's got a checklist, right? He's just nailing his checklist. See what fits right for him. So it was a big step, though. The fact that the Packers and Jets like met and Packers gave their permission, that's a huge telling and sign. So let's hope this is worth it.
Right. And I mean, I just feel like the biggest thing is we can kind of eliminate the Packers as one of the teams for Rodgers. I mean, for weeks now, you kind of got the sense that the Packers didn't want him back and that it was all kind of just Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets retirement type of thing. But now with the Packers saying, okay, you can speak with Aaron Rodgers, it kind of signals that they're done with him. They don't really want him anymore. They want to roll with Jordan Love, someone they picked in 2020, where all this Rodgers Packers madness began. And I mean, the Jets are the only team that has spoke to him so far. They're really the only team that I feel like has a shot with Rodgers because the Raiders are out of the picture. I mean, all the reports we've been getting are saying that the Las Vegas Raiders are out of the picture for Aaron Rodgers. And we know the Packers aren't trading him within the NFC conference. So that eliminates teams like the Commanders, the Buccaneers, the Falcons, the Panthers, any QB needing team. And Rodgers also cost a lot of money. So any team that is kind of in some bad cap situations right now, you can eliminate them as well. So the New York Jets are really the only team that makes sense for Aaron Rodgers. And while people might say, well, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport don't have that much intel on Aaron Rodgers. The clip yesterday of Aaron Rodgers saying no one knows inside the inner circle. It's kind of just common sense at this point. I mean, where else is he going to go? No other team in the AFC really wants Rodgers. No other team in the AFC, they might want him, but they can't afford him. They don't have the picks to get him. There's always something going. The New York Jets are the perfect fit for him financially and trade-wise. It just depends on if Aaron Rodgers wants to come here. Let's go out and check the comments. We have Harlan, one of the biggest fans of the show. He said, all right, Jude and Italy Jet are live. Harlan's looking forward to the show every week. And I'm sorry, Harlan, we've been slacking the past few weeks. Italy Jet was on IR, but he's been taken off. He's good to go now. And hopefully
And then you play lacrosse. He's playing lacrosse right now.
Right. Tennis. I got tennis too.
Oh, shoot. Well, there you go. You busy
whole
guy.
lot of stuff going on. And but I mean, hey, we've been busy. We've had life issues, but now we're back talking about the New York Jets. Hopefully we can have an episode next week going over free agency because that's next week and it doesn't even feel like it's next week, which is the most craziest thing in the world. But great to see you in here, Harlan. So into the Jet, something we were kind of talking about at the beginning of the show or before it started. What would an Aaron Rodgers trade look like? And you had a pretty interesting package, so let's hear your thoughts.
I think it's going to be a second rounder this year and a second rounder next year that could possibly turn into a first round. But I think it could be a couple players too. I'm looking at like a tight end and I'm looking at a wide receiver. The Packers do have some good wide receiver, like young talent wide receivers, but Lazard is a free agent. I don't think he's going to come back to the Packers. So why not trade for a wide receiver? I'm thinking, Corey Davis. I'm thinking Conklin. I'm thinking a second round this year and a second round next year could possibly turn to a first rounder. I know one of my other friends that's also a content creator. His name is Vinny. He said that it's probably going to look like what Favre was when he came to the Jets. And I agree 100%. But that is my final thing. I think it's going to be second round this year, second round next year. I could possibly turn to a first rounder, and Corey Davis and Conklin.
All right, and before I get into my package, Harlan said it's great to be here since I came and some others did too. You're just bringing the whole party with you, Harlan. You're the life of the party over here on the Jets Duo show. But I mean, yeah, I definitely feel like the compensation is definitely going to have to be a conditional pick. And
right.
I really like that because a lot of people were saying, well, why would we want to trade for Aaron Rodgers? Because he might only play 1 year with the New York Jets. So why would we give up a first round pick and then send over Aaron Rodgers and he's only here for a year? People are like, that doesn't really make sense. So the Jets make it a compensational pick. And I feel like the Packers should agree to that. I mean, if he retires, let's say it's only a third. If he brings the Jets to the playoffs, make it a second. If the New York Jets go to the Super Bowl, make it a first. Any types of stuff like that. I feel like Jets making the Super Bowl first round pick probably isn't going to happen, but you get what I mean. Make it kind of an incentive based pick. And I saw someone on Instagram say that, and I want to give credit so bad, but I can't remember where I saw the post from. But if you're listening to this and saying, why are you stealing this from me? I'm sorry, man. I just kind of forgot your username. But still, it definitely has to be a compensational, incentive-based pick-wise because, I mean, we can't trade a first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. The next thing you know, he retires. I doubt that's going to happen. But still, you don't want to give up a first and then he retires. Definitely got to make it conditional. But what everyone's been saying, all these reporters, has just been the Jets aren't going to have to give up a first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. It's most likely going to be a second-round pick, a conditional second-round pick, maybe a third. So who knows what the trade package is actually going to look like for Aaron Rodgers, but chances are it's not a first. Also, like the fact that you threw a player in there too, that definitely could, eat up some cap for Aaron Rodgers and could also help give the Packers some added depth and playmakers that they need for, the young quarterback, Jordan Love. I mean, he's not really a young quarterback, but getting his, first ever start, entering his, fourth season, I mean, it's pretty insane. So, basically a rookie in that aspect. But you give him a Corey Davis, maybe you send over a tight end. I'm kind of really against sending over a Tyler Conklin or CJ Uzama. I'm fans of two of them. I think they can do, a lot of damage with an Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I mean, it would kind of be messed up to trade Jeremy Ruckert since he is, this huge New York Jets fan. And, the Jets just drafted him to be this future tight end. But I mean, if it gets Aaron Rodgers, I would 100% trade him. But I really don't think it would cost two players. And at the same time, though, I'm about to say it really happens, but with the Denver Broncos, they sent over 3 players to go out and get Russell Wilson. So, I mean, anything could happen, and we could see some depth players on the move for the New York Jets. Harlan coming in with another comment. He says, we trade for Rodgers because he's a great brawl player. Winning is contagious. He could stay active for more years. And Harlan, you commented this on one of my videos last night. I mean, yeah, winning is contagious. I mean, Tom Brady, he probably left the game at the age he did because he kept on winning. He didn't want to retire as he's losing. Next, he gets a losing season. Things are going down for the Buccaneers. He says, I'm out of here. Don't really feel like having a fresh start again. So winning is definitely contagious and keep Rodgers in the league for a few more years. He says Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 or 4 years behind Favre, and that's definitely the direction the Packers do with their quarterbacks, with Rodgers and of course, Jordan Love. NCV Man coming in with a couple comments as well. He says Rodgers is great and possibly has 1 or 2 years life left in him. Will fans be okay with Jets making playoffs this year or next? Then what? We're back to being miserable. Maybe he can develop Zach Wilson.
See, that's what I say. Also, Harlan NCV Man, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Thanks for being in the comments. Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point, but I think for me is if these guys can win us a Super Bowl right now and we get to Super Bowl and win, if we get to playoffs, just by getting in the playoffs, I mean, that 12-year drought of all sports That's the longest drought right now. We
Right.
used to be the Cubs. Now it's us. Used to be the Browns. Now it's us. Like it never ends. And I think it means now more. I want at least 2 or 3 years out of him. At least 2 or 3 years. Like I have like a two year with an option of a third. But yes, if he could develop Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson does have talent. I understand people are saying, "Hey, no, he's trash. He's what? No, he's got the yips." Yeah, but that's the thing, though. He's shown times where he is good. Training camp, OTAs. Then when he got out, it never came together. I understand there's a lot of things that come into play. The offensive line, Zach Wilson, him. But you also got to remember one thing too. We didn't develop him properly. We didn't develop
Right.
Sam Darnold properly. We haven't developed a good quarterback for the New York Jets in a very long time. So if Rodgers can come in and help develop him, hey, I'm on board with that. We're just gonna have to see. But right now, we're in ready mode now, and I want to get the best available quarterback that's going to fit our system.
And Harlan also mentions Rodgers is only 39. He has some more years, and Brady played to 45. I don't know if Rodgers wants to play to 45 because
Right.
probably a lot of NFL players in the past definitely could have played to the age Brady played to. The thing is, do they really want to spend 20 years in the NFL? That's
Right.
the thing, and it just depends. Rodgers. He's already thinking about retirement. Maybe after his contract's over, he wants to be done with the NFL, or maybe
Right.
he's building a culture here in New York and he wants to continue playing until some of his guys start to leave and the Jets start to fall off, which hopefully never happens. Because I don't know if I could take never making the playoffs again. And
Me
who says
too.
we're making it next year? But I don't want to be back miserable. I don't want it.
It comes
But
with the territory, right?
all right. But if we win the Super Bowl, I guess it makes. I don't guess. It does make up for it. So there's that. And then plus Rodgers, he does have 2 more years left on his contract. I do think he plays out those 2 years. I don't really feel like Rodgers is going to come in and only play 1 year with the New York Jets. It's probably going to be at least two until his contract's up. And then I guess we'll just have to see what happens after that. And then, of course, Rodgers and Zach Wilson, if Rodgers does retire, I feel like Zach Wilson is who the New York Jets want to roll with because in 2 years' time, that's when Zach Wilson's rookie contract is going to be up, when Aaron Rodgers is set to be a free agent. Now, I don't think we're going to extend Zach Wilson's fifth-year option because of Elijah Tucker. But then once Aaron Rodgers is on his last deal, hopefully we don't get rid of him if he wants to keep on playing football. Then we can decide what to do with Zach Wilson. If he's developed, if he's made progress, you can keep him for another year, let him develop, or maybe you feel comfortable with him being your starter after sitting behind Rodgers for 2 years because Rodgers and Wilson already have a relationship. And obviously Rodgers can't develop Zach Wilson while he's in New York and Zach Wilson's in New York. It's completely two different time zones right there. But if they're in the same building every day, if they're in the same meetings every week, then obviously some words are going to be passed down. Mentorship is going to be passed down. And I do feel like if Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers can connect, get to know each other, then we're going to start to see Zach Wilson start to blossom as a player. And then, you're bringing in Todd Downing as well. People aren't a huge fan of the hire just because of, he wasn't the best with the Raiders, or not the Raiders, the Titans, but during a stint with the Raiders, he played a pretty big part in, Derek Carr's development. Carr had some of his best years with Downing on the staff, and Matthew Stafford also had some of his best years with Downing on their staff as well. He has that quarterback coach background. Maybe he can develop Zach Wilson, and then maybe you also have Aaron Rodgers developing him, and Nathaniel Hackett's not much of a developer either, but
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen. We got Harlan, making a comment to you, Italy Jetty says, I was watching another show and mentioned they do a show with you.
Oh, yeah. Gunny Gumby, Situation Report. So me and Situation Report and another guy named DKBX Jets, we do a Jets show once a week on Mondays. I'm on another show with Everything NYJ with me and Liam. And then me and Jude have a Jets show, and we do it twice a week called the Jets Duo Show, and we're on Let's Talk Sports. for Jets content as well. It's called Let's Talk Jets. But I also have 2 other Jet shows. So, and also I'm about to do more Jet shows on all kinds of different stuff. I am in the process of a lot. I also do soccer content. I don't know if you see me there as well about West Ham and Toronto FC. So I'm everywhere, Harlan. I'm everywhere. But I appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody's support. But me and Jude does a very good job, and we're fans that probably know better than a lot of media. So we care. We live, breathe, die with this team. So let's just spread the love.
Right. And make sure you guys check out all the shows Italy Jet does. He's a very busy man, so if you guys could, check out his shows whenever you can. He has a show really probably every day of the week, so you can't catch him one day, you can catch him the next. So make sure you guys check out all the shows Italy Jet does, and check the show we're gonna do after this one at 6 o'clock on Let's Talk Sports. Harlan also says Hackett has developed quite a few QBs with other teams. Rodgers says some of his best seasons with Hackett as offensive coordinator. And Harlan says, I keep watching you guys. Appreciate it, Harlan, one of our biggest supporters. And you too, NCV, man. Y'all too have just been killing it watching all these shows. We definitely appreciate all the support. So while we're sticking on the quarterback talk, I do want to quickly mention Mike White, because there's been a lot of Mike White talk going on over the past few days, because apparently he has a lot of suitors. The Jets want him back, but do you think we should bring back Mike White?
I don't know where this. No, I'm just gonna be honest. No, I know a lot of people love him. I know, and I understand why. But if we're gonna bring in an Aaron Rodgers, right, and if we're gonna bring in possibly Lamar Jackson, which I doubt. You just never know though. If we can't get those 2 guys, and if we can't get Minshew, Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo, there was another guy. Oh, Tannehill. If we can't get Tannehill, then I think, but he's gonna want money. He wants 8 to 10 million as well, just like Rankins. But I know we're not talking about Rankins right now. But 8 to 10 billion. He might want a little bit more. I don't know. I think Zach Wilson is the future. But it depends on who comes in here, though. That's the thing. Whoever comes in here and develops them right, then he could be the future. But when we need to meet now, Mike White, he is probably going to be like Plan D, right? He's going to probably be Plan D. Now, here's the thing, though. If I will not be surprised if he comes back, though. I would not be surprised at all. So it's just gonna depend on what Rodgers and Lamar and all these little quarterbacks I've mentioned. But in the comments, Harlan says he does not want him back, injury prone. Jimmy G and Lamar are part-time players as well, and I agree with you. The only thing, the difference there's two differences between Lamar and Jimmy though. Jimmy has gone to the Super Bowl, and Lamar hasn't gone to the Super Bowl. He's made it to the playoffs. He has won league MVP before. He has immense talent. But Jimmy G, yes, he is injury prone, and so is Lamar. But they're kind of even when it comes to what they have done. I'm not saying one is way more talented than the other. I'm going with my gut. I think Lamar is more talented, but you can't not look at Jimmy's track record.
Right.
If you're going to build a team around these 2 quarterbacks, it would 100% be Lamar Jackson. So that's how. What do you guys think of former Jets QB getting? You know what? I was actually going to talk about this. I think, what do you guys turn to think of former Jets QB? Yeah, White could be that guy. Eventually, I say get rid of while he's some value. If he turns into Gene, good for him. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you, NC. You know what? I think Geno deserves that contract. I'm just going to be honest. I think he deserves everything. Geno he was my guy. I'm a
About the same
Gino as
name.
well. I'm a Gino as well. My name is Gino Antonio Pagano. So he's Geno Smith. So I really wanted Gino here, but I'm happy that he's being successful somewhere else. But no, I think he's got a good thing going there. I think they rally around him. I think they love him. He's doing good things there, and I hope he continues to be worth that money. But he's definitely not going to come back to Jets or go anywhere else. I think he made the smart decision, even before tag day too. I mean,
Right.
they literally got a deal done before that. So it is going to be interesting what they do with DK. He's only locked up for 3 years, just like Gino. So it's going to be very interesting because the Seahawks also do 3-year contracts, just like the Jets. We do 2 to 3 year contracts. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. The QB room will probably be Rodgers and Zach. If Rodgers gets injured, they could bring in Strebler or go with another QB. I think we should definitely bring in a QB that is part of the practice squad. There's definitely I don't think it's going to be Strebler, but I know we own rights to Strebler to sign him. I do know that. But in the practice squad, you got to have someone ready. I just can't see White coming back. I could see Zach Wilson be here. I could see another veteran quarterback coming in. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. Another former Chosen. That's his name now. Chosen
Spelled it.
Anderson. Where
Spelled it
did he
wrong,
go?
man.
He was just cut. I never liked that guy. You know what? I liked him when he was here. I didn't like him as a whole, like personality wise. I only liked what he did on the field. But I mean, that's another thing, but I don't think we're gonna get him. I think he is gonna go somewhere else. And I think he's gonna do pretty well. I don't think he's meant to be a Jet anymore. It seems like every time we bring back old Jets, it doesn't work out for us.
Yeah.
Unless you're Lavernius Coles. So
And Robbie Anderson looked kind of washed too. This past season
does.
and 2021 was not great. 2020 leads the Jets, has a 1,000-yard season. All these Jets fans on Twitter were like, Joe Douglas is looking stupid now, should be on the hot seat making all this BS about him. And then Robbie Anderson changes his name 2 times, goes to Rob B with an IE, and then he goes to Chosen. And then next thing you know, he gets cut. I wanted to bring him back in 2020, but I didn't want to bring him back for that money he wanted because, yeah, he was a talented receiver. He was that deep threat, but he was just so inconsistent with the Jets. I remember, like, some weeks you would be like, where did Robbie Anderson go? It'd be like playing, where's Waldo? Is he on the field this week? Is he even playing? And I was surprised to learn that he, didn't miss a game that 2019 season just because he was so inconsistent. But then some weeks he would ball out. And that's just a part that was kind of making me say, no, I don't want him. But, Robbie Anderson, hopefully he finds some place somewhere. Or not Robbie Anderson, Chosen Anderson. Hopefully he finds, a home somewhere. But, the dude definitely has to get his stuff together because big reason to why I feel like he's on the open market is because he's constantly getting in these arguments and bickerments with coaches and players on the sidelines, and it's kind of a little bit of some locker room cancer on some sorts, and really only did it after he left the Jets as well. Adam Gase probably broke him, but
he was here with Bowles too, right?
Yeah, his first season was 2016, so he was Bowles' second year, undrafted free agent too.
Yeah, it's just going to be really interesting. There's no way there's no way former players should go to their teams unless it's the right fit in the right situation. Unless you're that coach that went back to the Broncos like 3 to 5 times. Oh, dang. Overall, I mean, for Mike White though, I'm going to say this final thing about Mike White. I want to bring back Mike White if he's cheap. If he's not cheap, then I get rid of him. I think Zach Wilson's going to be here. I think Strebler is either going to be on the practice squad or he just barely makes squad, or we bring in another QB to battle it out with Zach Wilson. If Rodgers is here, I think he'll develop quite nicely. If Lamar's here, it's going to be very interesting. He had a great relationship with Griffin III, and Griffin III was older than him and a veteran. I can see that. I think that's a good relationship. I think they both learned a lot from each other as well. So I'm just going to be honest. I'm really not worried. Just Sam Darnold. Don't come back to the Jets. I don't want you here. So it's all good.
And yeah, with Mike White, it just has to be for the right price. Because I don't really want Zach Wilson to be the backup quarterback next season, just because it should be like a developmental year for him. Let him step aside. Don't maybe not suit him out every week. Kind of have him as your emergency quarterback. The NFL is looking into that too, having three QBs dress up, for some games in case someone gets hurt randomly. But definitely just keep Zach Wilson as your third QB this season, and have Mike White back as the backup. Maybe go out, sign a Teddy Bridgewater or someone. I don't really want him to be the backup, but definitely one of the better ones out there. Maybe Jacoby Brissett wants to be a backup, although I think he might end up as a starter somewhere. But still, just has to be for the right price. Don't want to go out and spend a bunch of money for a backup quarterback. And you mentioned it, and we've kind of been mentioning it throughout the show, Lamar Jackson. Now, I never really thought Lamar Jackson was actually going to get traded. I thought the Ravens were just going to end up with a deal, but they placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, which is very, very rare. I haven't really seen the team do that at all. And I mean, non-exclusive franchise tag is
Isn't that
like
crazy?
it's like insane, and it's something that happens like in the NBA. It's just like I'm reading up all the different things about the non-exclusive franchise tag, and it sounds a lot like this whole NBA stuff where the DeAndre Ayton situation this offseason where
Oh
he's going to
yeah.
sign with the Pacers, and then the Suns matched their offer, and then he returned back to Phoenix, and that's basically what happens. So Lamar Jackson, he can negotiate with other teams if he finds a contract that he likes. He reaches an agreement with, let's say, the Raiders. The Raiders can, offer him that contract. But then the Baltimore Ravens can say, you know what, we want to match the offer sheet and we're going to get Lamar Jackson back. But if they don't match the offer sheet, the team would have to give the Ravens their 2023 and 2024 first round pick. And to be honest, I feel like some teams like the Houston Texans might even should consider doing this. I mean, you're going out trying to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. Who knows if they're going to eventually work out? Just go out, give Lamar Jackson the money. Go out, just trade your first round picks for him because they have two in this year and next year's draft. But we're not a Houston Texans channel. We're talking about the New York Jets. So obviously, for the teams to be eligible to get Lamar Jackson, they got to trade those first round picks. So the New York Jets do have 2023 and 2024 first round picks. That makes us eligible for Lamar Jackson. And thank God it doesn't make the Dolphins eligible because I was kind of worried they were going to pull a fast one, get Lamar Jackson. And I mean, I don't know how they would afford him, but Miami has finagled the cap all these years. I was thinking, man, is Miami actually going to end up with Lamar Jackson? But they are literally ineligible. And a lot of other teams have, you know, said they're not out on Lamar Jackson either. Some teams not wanting him. But the New York Jets are not one of those teams. I think
Yeah.
it was the Falcons, Panthers, Commanders, Dolphins, and a couple other teams, but the Jets were not on that list. So, Italy Jed, what are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson?
I mean, it's going to be interesting because if Rodgers all of a sudden retires or stays in Green Bay, what do you do? What do you do? Yeah,
Right.
I would have a backup team or a backup plan go to Lamar right now, as we speak. Rodgers is your first priority, which I totally understand, but you need a backup plan, another backup plan, another backup plan. They have shown that all their eggs are in the water for Rodgers, right? So it's they even told Carr, and I don't blame Carr. But Carr, that's what he did. He knew he was the second option. He didn't wait around, which I totally understand. Went to the Saints. Saints, they said Carr was their first option. I totally understand that. But you're gonna need time is running out. Like time is such of the essence when it comes to the quarterback position that it's hard to imagine us if Rodgers doesn't work out.
Right. I mean, you're completely correct. You got to have a backup plan. You have to have one. And Derek Carr was our backup plan. He's off the table. Lamar Jackson now has to be your new backup plan. I mean, as crazy as it might sound, making Lamar Jackson as your backup plan, you got to have one in place. The Jets, it seems like they're interested. So if Aaron Rodgers doesn't work out, you definitely need to go out, try to see what you can do about Lamar Jackson. And I just really hope this whole quarterback situation, everything gets resolved before free agency starts because Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, you're playing C, D, maybe even E are free agents, and you can't wait around for. I mean, you definitely can wait around, but if they're off the market, if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire, if Lamar Jackson goes back to Baltimore, then everything just goes haywire. I think Italy Jet is having some technical difficulties right now, so keep you guys on. See if I can do something real quick. Maybe this helps out with connection. Oh wait, see what.
Hello.
Alrighty, now he has no picture. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Uh, so he's getting some constant feedback here. Uh, Maybe try exiting the stream and then joining back in. But going on to what NCV Man said, Denver should have waited and got Lamar instead of Russell Wilson. I mean, yeah, you're completely correct, man. Maybe Denver even wanted Lamar Jackson last year, or not Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers last season. They go out hire Nathaniel Hack, and then of course Aaron Rodgers doesn't work out, so they're like, "What do we do? Go get Russell Wilson." But Russell Wilson not panning out definitely was surprising. I mean, who knew Russell Wilson was going to be that bad in Denver? That's absolutely insane to think about. I mean, he was so good with the Seattle Seahawks and then goes to Denver and completely stinks up the bed. But as we're waiting for Illy Jet to come back in, I'll go out and introduce our next topic because, of course, we do need some money. If we want to get Aaron Rodgers or any of these other quarterbacks on the open market, money is going to have to be made somehow, whether it be by cutting players, whether it be by restructuring contracts. And today, the New York Jets actually made themselves some money. They restructured CJ Uzomah's contract. They turned like 4.5 million of his salary into a signing bonus, so he's only getting paid like 3 million this season. So that does save a good chunk of money for the Jets. The Jets are now under the cap, but we only have around 3 million in the bank right now, which is obviously not enough to get Aaron Rodgers, who's is only going to have a $15 million cap hit this season. So while he might be getting paid $50 million, his cap hit's only 15. So the Jets don't need to make a whole lot of moves to afford Aaron Rodgers. Of course, if you want to go out, sign some free agents, we're going to have to make some moves. But to get Aaron Rodgers, all the New York Jets literally have to do is cut Carl Lawson. Because Carl Lawson's cap hit this season is $15 million. You cut him, you get Aaron Rodgers. And that's definitely some of the moves the Jets are going to have to make if they want to get Aaron Rodgers, sign some free agents, and there's a lot of things they definitely can do. A lot of players that they can go out and cut. I mean, for starters, we do have Carl Lawson, who, I just mentioned, $15 million cap hit. I do think it would make sense to let go of Carl Lawson just because, I mean, look, we have Jermaine Johnson, you got Michael Clemens, you got Bryce Huff on the bench. You need to give those guys more playing time because they are these rookies with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of potential. You need to get them back. And speaking of getting them back in, welcome back, Italy Jet. You got your internet, you got your connection well. Great to see you back, man. We were talking about, Cap.
Yeah. Cap saving?
I was talking about Carl Lawson, keeping him or cutting him.
Oh, cut him. Bye. Have a nice life. You're a great locker room guy. You're a great person. You did some things well, and you didn't do some things well, but you're not worth your contract. If you come back cheap, I would be open to that. But I really want Clemens and JJ to really get some playing time, re-sign Huff. I really want those three things to happen. Oh, thanks, Harlan. Appreciate you, man. I really want those three. I really want those three things to happen. I think Carl could do some things somewhere else, but that's what I think.
Right, and I agree with you. It's a $15 million cap hit. That $15 million literally gets you Aaron Rodgers, and on top of that, we brought him in here to be this pressure-getting machine, and he did, kind of the opposite this past season. Had his second highest number in sacks, but that didn't really mean he was putting up the pressures like he was in Cincinnati. And sure, he had the Achilles tear and whatnot, wasn't fully recovered, but he played in all 17 games. I don't think appeared on the injury report once, so he must have been playing healthy this season. So Carl Lawson, I just say cut him, give your younger guys some more opportunities to play. And then we got the next guy. We talked about it early in the stream. Corey Davis has, I want to say, a $12 million cap hit this season. You keeping Corey or you cutting Corey?
I want him to stick around. I love Corey Davis. That's one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. I know he hasn't been the best with the Jets, and I totally understand that. I hear everybody. I know there's good and bad things about that, but overall, I do believe in him. I believe in him so much. I really think that if a proper quarterback comes in and stays consistent with the offensive line, I think he'll do a better job. The only thing about it is, can he still catch the ball? So
Right.
that's the only thing that sucks. And can he be with the injuries? I feel much better about Corey Davis coming back than I do Carl Lawson.
And I mean, I'm in kind of the same boat with you because it has like the pros and cons with Corey Davis
Pros and
because
cons.
you do save money by cutting Corey Davis, but then at the same time though, what's your backup plan at receiver? I don't want Braxton Berrios to be our third guy on the field. Elijah Moore could step back in, but you can't run two receivers on the field at the same time, especially with our team. We got Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to be a run heavy team, or hopefully we get Aaron Rodgers. We can pass it to our receivers. Garrett Wilson can't be the only guy he wants to throw to. So if you cut Corey Davis, you have to have a good backup plan in place. And there's some solid free agents out there. We've been linked to Alan Lazard if we potentially get Aaron Rodgers, and Alan Lazard's better than Corey Davis. Or we can potentially go and get a Darius Slay, get a DJ Chark. There's some pretty good free agents on the market, but DJ Chark's also injury prone, so you got to look at it like that. Or maybe the New York Jets want to go out in the draft and go out and draft a receiver. But if the Jets cut Corey Davis, I'm okay with it as long as we have a backup plan in place. Harlan.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Right. I mean, he says with the wide receivers, with wide receivers going for these days, Corey Davis seems like a bargain. And I mean, you're completely true. I mean, the receivers are getting insane deals. It sounded like Jacoby Myers, who has never had a 1,000-yard receiving season, might get like 18 to 20 million a year. Same thing happened with Christian Kirk. And I mean, sure enough, he had a 1,000-yard receiving season, but still, paying that much money for Christian at the time was insane, but that completely reset the wide receiver market. So some of these mid-tier wide receiver 2/3s, guys like Alan Lazard, could be getting way too much money, and you end up losing money, then saving it whenever you release Corey Davis. He also says even with Rodgers to be a run-heavy team, and I mean with Breece Hall, you got to incorporate the run into your game somehow because you can't have Breece Hall sitting on your bench and not using him. And even the Packers ran the ball a lot with Aaron Rodgers, so the Jets definitely, we're going to run the ball more, but expect a lot more pass with Aaron Rodgers on the way. And then the final major cap cut we got is Jordan Whitehead. Saves around 8 to 9 million if cut. What are you feeling?
It's kind of like how I feel about Laken Tomlinson, Dwayne Brown, and Whitehead. I think they all deserve another chance. Dwayne was one of our consistent offensive linemen last year. He's good at that area, and he played with the arm injury. I mean, his rotator cuff. That sucks. Playing with that kind of injury all year. I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be like our best lineman, but I'm giving Laken another shot. I'm giving Whitehead another shot. I just think they just need to be paired up better, honestly. And
Right.
I think we need to bring in a few more weapons at the safety position and the O-line position. So all three of them, including Whitehead, I say give them another year. If they don't do good in 2024, cut them.
Amen. And this is, Whitehead's last year on the team as well, or potential last year, signed a 2-year deal last season. So this is, proven year for Whitehead. And normally you see players in these contract years play really well because Whitehead, a lot of people are saying the Jets got a bargain for Jordan Whitehead last season, especially with some of the safeties they're signing. Like Marcus Williams got the bag, Jordan Whitehead not so much. So if the Jets can keep Whitehead on a fairly cheap contract, maybe he can do better. But it's just at the same time, though, if we cut Whitehead, I wouldn't be completely against it, even though I kind of want to see the Jets give him a fair chance. And I've said in the past, I really don't see the New York Jets cutting Jordan Whitehead. It just doesn't seem like something Joe Douglas would do. I could see him cutting Corey Davis or Carl Lawson. I just can't really feel him cutting Jordan Whitehead. It's just a gut feeling. But if it's just in the gut. I don't know why. I just don't think the Jets are going to end up cutting Jordan Whitehead. But if he is cut, hopefully the New York Jets have a good backup plan in place. And I'm a safety fanatic. I love the safety position. I mean,
Me
I never
too.
played it or anything, but it's just like safeties are always like my favorite players on the field. I was a huge Jamal Adams fan. I mean, look, he did go to LSU, so I was a fan of him out the gate, but I just always like watching the safeties. Safeties are always the first position I look at for who's going to be free agent safeties, the first position I look at in the draft. And they do have a lot of talent in this free agent market, a lot of under the radar talent
Yes, they
that the New
do.
York Jets could get on a cheap bargain, and you could even replace Jordan Whitehead on a cheaper contract. And the same thing goes in the draft. Like, what picks you're going to have after you trade away Aaron Rodgers, who knows? But bless you. But at the same time, no problem. But it's like, do the Jets, go out draft a replacement? Is he going to work out? Who knows? But the Jets have met with a lot of safeties so far in this pre-draft interview process. Like, out of all the positions in the draft, safety was the one we've met with the most. And like, I want to say all of our pre-draft interviews were on safeties as well. So, there's that. And we got John coming in. Hey, John, how's it going?
What's up, brother? And yeah, I like Harlan's answer too with Carl. This is a stacked free agency that's got a lot of safeties, including the draft. The draft has a lot of great players on defense. They have a great O-line class. There's a few quarterbacks out there. Wide receivers are always under the radar. They're sneaky good. It's going to be a really interesting class this year because there's players that are going to be good even going in the 5th round. I
Right.
mean, I strongly, firmly believe that. That's why I love what Joe Douglas did last year. He did 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't go anything past that, and I agree with that because you want to get players in the first 4 to 5 rounds. So I think overall safety need to get safety in this draft. But if you can get a free agent safety too, I'm okay with that. And then maybe go linebacker. You get a either a veteran coming in or a draft pick as well. But I like both. This offseason is going to be so crazy. It's going to be crazy. Linebackers, safeties, defense, offense. There's so many things that could happen. And I blame 2 people. Christian Kirk and I blame Deshaun Watson. There you go.
They had to ruin it. Had to go out and get the bag. Hey, it's just
I
making everything
understand.
difficult.
I understand. I understand. Money,
I mean, yeah.
what the players get the bag, but thank you for screwing it up too.
Right. It's like, I mean, I don't blame you getting overpaid, but it's just like it makes it hard for every other team.
That means your agent is doing something right.
Right. Exactly. And give me your agent because I'm trying to make the moolah too. So let's get into our closing thoughts. Illy Jet, what you got? Final words for us here.
Jets fans, stay patient. This is going to be a long week. This is going to be a long offseason, free agency, tagging, trades, cuts, signing, waivers, draft. It's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns, but me and Jude will cover all of it on Let's Talk Sports and the Jets Duo Show this year. Stronger than ever, better than ever, little by little. We are a few steps away to being a playoff and Super Bowl team. I really strongly and firmly believe that. And we're just gonna keep on watching whatever happens with Rodgers and Lamar.
Right.
So I'm Italy Jet. That's me. What do you think, Jude?
My closing thoughts right here. I mean, I was gonna say something else, but John, I mean, that's the perfect comment right here, and I really like this idea. So he says, if Rodgers is son, I like our throwback uniforms to be our 1969 championship uniforms with the white helmet and watching 12 throwing touchdowns. I mean, bring it back. I mean, those uniforms, they're okay. And, maybe add a little modern twist to it, but Joe Namath has said he would unretire 12 for Rodgers. So
Right.
you unretire 12, you get Aaron Rodgers in the building, you bring back the uniforms the Jets won with the championships.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of just fits. Add a little modern twist to it, make them good. I like all those throwback concepts they make with, the similar uniform on Twitter and whatnot. But, I mean, still, that would be a pretty sick idea. So, New York Jets, if you get Aaron Rodgers, and please hope you do, make sure you listen to what my man John has to say. But, yeah, that's going to be it for today's show. Want to thank you guys for joining us throughout our whole thing. Thank you to NCV Man, Harlan, and John for commenting, and everyone else who watched throughout the show. I mean, it really means a lot to us. And we got to hound on to Let's Talk Sports. We got to plug our social medias real quick. We can do that in 3 minutes. We can do that. So really, Jet, I know it might take you 3 minutes to plug all the shows you got, but might as well go ahead and do it.
Guys, go to Let's Talk Sports right after this. We got more thoughts on that network with me and Jude. I'm everywhere. I got all kinds of different Jet shows. I have soccer content as well, Italy, Jet, on all social media platforms.
Oh, that was quick. So yeah, everyone just go on to Let's Talk Sports after the show is over. We're gonna be talking more Jet stuff, so make sure you guys go ahead and do that. If you guys want to find me, @Jude_Jets, all social medias, and I do have an XFL channel right now as well, posting XFL content. Huge fan of the league, love what you're doing. So if you guys want to watch someone talk about XFL, it's XFL Center. I don't know if it appears in the search bar because I have like 6 subscribers, but I've been plugging it all over my Twitter. So if you guys go there, you'll probably see me talking about it. And I'll add some links to my description as well. But
Wait,
yeah.
you do XFL now?
I got a little XFL content going on.
I'm working for the St. Louis Battlehawks this season. So
first
look
home
out
game this week too.
Yeah, so look out for all that. It's going to be fun.
Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for today's stream. Thank you everyone for joining, and see you guys hopefully on Let's Talk Sports. Peace.